I've always been fascinated by the Donkey Kong Country games. On the surface, it's not really groundbreaking or anything, but I appreciate the fact that almost all of them tend to hold up even to this day, which is pretty surprising. And just for info, this is not coming from one of those guys who only like certain games because they grew up with them. I've already stated before that I'm a fucking child. Does it even look like I can grow up playing this kind of shit? I was born around near the 2000s, alright, and my real childhood games were Sonic and All-Stars Racing and Madagascar for the PS2. Point is, this is all genuine speaking, that I like these games because they're good-ass games. I've started playing DKC1 during sometime in 2016 on an emulator I downloaded on my iPad, and I couldn't get past the second level, so I didn't come back to it for a long time. Then Tropical Freeze came out on Switch and I loved it, so since then I've beaten DKC1 and respectively played the rest of DKC2 and 3. Besides the gameplay, another reason I enjoy these games is because of their fascination with secrets. Yes, despite what Cybershell might tell you, Banjo is not the only game with an overdose on hidden shit. Turns out there were always a bunch of sneaky bastards who treated mystery like it's a high form of cocaine, and all it did was make me want to replay these games even more. Of course, by that I don't mean normally. I looked up all of this shit online, most of it being from various YouTube videos that essentially show off all the casually unseen shit like barrels and cheat codes. Now you could just watch those videos instead, but then I wouldn't have anything to talk about now, would I? Plus it already is kinda obscure, not a lot of people are covering it, or at least not out there searching for it. Not acting like an above all genius, even though I totally am one. But I just want to cover some fucking monkey games, alright, and to start off I'll begin talking about cheat codes. Now cheat codes aren't anything unique to this game per se, and doesn't even have the best cheat codes in the whole SNES game library, but they're engrossing enough for me to at least look at them. To activate these you'll have to resort to pressing the erase game option on the bottom left corner, and as shit your pants terrifying as that might be, it's literally required to put most of these in, so don't blame me if you accidentally erase your save file, blame Rare for the single thought of putting it in the game, and also blame Cybershell for making me steal that stupid fucking joke. Oh, and here's another Cybershell fact. Did you know in his Space Station Silicon Valley video, he used the phrase "turns out" 3 separate times in the video? What's the matter? Couldn't find anything else besides, oh, I don't know, all these other words? Wow, and here I thought Cybershell was a complete another writing genius. But to be fair, I also did reuse the word completely in my Unitrus video in the same amount, but it was almost not as noticeable there. Almost. Anyway, I'll just start listing these off. Barrel, B-A-R-R-A-L, is your basic 50 life cheat, and it, along with the sound test, is basically a trend throughout all these games, so I'll be skating over those. Here's the cheat codes if anyone's interested. Bad Buddy, B-A down, B up, down, down, Y. This is a kind of fun little multiplayer code that lets the second player switch characters anytime they damn well please, which isn't possible to do in the base game because it would be quite annoying. But hey, if you thought the multiplayer in this game was mundane because you couldn't fuck around, try this out for a notch. Though at the same time you could just play DKC2, which already has this built in, but you know, options there if you're the kind of psychopath that needs it. Sadly, next code is the last one in the game, but on the bright side it's one of the more interesting ones. And luckily you don't even have to worry about erasing your game by accident either, and you'll just have to put it in during the opening sequence when Cranky is on screen, which prospectively gives you 14 seconds of time. Code is Diddy. Down Y, down down Y. This teleports you to a bonus room filled with animal tokens separately put into 3 groups. Of course you're able to enter every kind of bonus room with this, but the downside is that you can't really exit. Even starting select doesn't do anything. That is unless you're playing on one of your save files and you happen to get a game over. You can just put in the cheat, rank up lives, and go to your latest save, or the fucking losers that actually use this to progress, also known as me. Hey, if the game gives you the option, I might as well make my use out of it. I've already beaten this game twice anyway, so leave me alone. Donkey Kong Country 2, activating cheats both thankfully and unthankfully works a little differently. Unthankfully because all you have to do is just press down a few times when choosing modes. Like, what the fuck, don't treat me like a goddamn child, you 3-decade-old children's game. And to start off, we're gracefully given the rapid number of 2. And I can only show 1. Hard mode, B-A right right, A left, A X. Removes checkpoint barrels but has the side effect of starting each level with both Kongs. Fun fact, it was pretty creatively used by the game's ROM hacking community, in Hard as Concrete most notably, where this cheat is mandatory to be in use or otherwise it's impossible to beat. This doesn't relate to anything, but I just thought I'd mention that. DKC3 is definitely the most complex one out of the bunch. as with its save file naming system, cheat codes are more uncommon with Banjo-Kazooie, where you're allowed to actually spell out most words to put in the cheats. For activation, put in the code LRR, LRR, LR, LR into one of your save files and you can type in the words. A save lets you save your game after you beat each level, and in this case it really isn't that useful because you can literally just walk back and forth into the hub and save your game with zero limitations. Harder. It's the same code from DKC2 that removes checkpoint barrels, except here it only does just that, so I'm not gonna bother with that one. Mary and Colors. These are two different cheats that I think are supposed to be combined. Color switches the color palettes of Dixie and Kitty, and Mary makes the bonus levels Christmas themed. So yeah, nice little Christmas Easter egg. Would make sense to put this in since in context the game originally came out during the ending of November. Water, the final cheat here, and like always it's again the most interesting. So you know that one Easter egg in DKC2 where in the first level if you walk in and out of the small room with King K. Rool's note avoiding small bananas and grabbing big bananas, that's pretty well known? If you don't then, well, congrats, I just fucking told you, feel free to look it up. Well, DKC3 also has that cheat in which after you put in the water code on a new save file, you can go under this waterfall, complete the minigame with these crystals, and get rewarded with all 55 bonus coins, just like with the Creme coins in the second game. You only get a single shot at this, so the only way to retry is to make another save file. But, you know, I get it. Maybe you're not interested in cheating. Maybe you just want to play the game normally without having the need of putting in a certain code that only makes your experience just a tad bit easier. Well, I've got a solution. Kinda. Warp barrels are expertly hidden special barrels that once found take you to the end of the level they are placed in, or usually next to the ending and sometimes in the middle. What's more is that even though they're canonically and officially referred to as warp barrels, they weren't actually called warp barrels until DKC3, given their design that trademarkable look of the W. Back then, they were just little secrets that you have a rare chance of finding. Nowadays, that's of course not possible with the internet and everything, but still, I'd like to treat you like a goddamn maniac if you have any slight knowledge about these. For DKC1, warp barrels are hidden anywhere between the first and last world. Places of them are completely random, with some appearing in the first levels, some in the second, some in both, or just 3 unrelated ones. Not to mention that they're all utterly fucking dumb with some of their placements in general, definitely having the most interesting ones of the group. Starting off, this first one might be useful for the people that despise that one minecart level. I sure as hell did. Like in the newer games and the games after, minecart physics have always been more snappy and grounded, so it just feels more painful in comparison. Well, good news, because to get the warp, literally all you have to do is jump over this starter barrel, then simply get taken to the end of the level. Bet all you 5-year-olds are crying your eyes out if you didn't know about that. This and Stop and Go Station, which the warp there takes you nearly to the end if you go to the left at the beginning, shocking, I know, are by far some of the easiest warps to find so far. Trust me, shit will get even more ridiculous later on. Beginning with Now in Milestone Mayhem, which requires you to take a tire, fling it right over this pit with enough momentum, keep pushing it until you get to an area with this one sitting torch, and as Donkey Kong bounces this tire and you're all good. Yeah, big fucking jump and change, isn't it? This next one is even more bullshit. You have to go to the right as fast as possible within at least 10 seconds on the clock, and once you get to this one section, the barrel only appears if you switch to Donkey Kong. Literally have no idea how you'd even figure out shit like this back at the time. It's just so incredibly specific. I don't know, maybe Cranky hints on it later on in the game, but let's be honest, who actually listens to Cranky's hits? Above all else, they're just really lackluster, and I literally have no patience to sit through them anyway. This next one is probably the second most easiest one, because it's right in plain sight in the area I'm standing. What's that? You don't see it? Oh yeah, sure, let me just point, it's right there. Yeah, it's no joke. This is official. It's an actual thing present in the game. I'm not playing some fucking ROM, I swear to God. This singular barrel uses a fully unique sprite which isn't seen anywhere else in the game besides here, and no doubtably the strangest thing about this is you can only enter it as Donkey Kong because of his slightly enhanced hitbox. The dedication put into this warp is psychotic. Truly nothing can top this. Oh, going back and forth for hours till you meet a mysterious figure,
doing essentially the same thing but with lights and doors and getting to see some fucked up imagery? Get that shit out of here. It all pales in comparison to Donkey Kong and its recoloring one sprite to blue and make it not appear anyplace else. I said it, so it must be true. I mean, when's the last time you saw a shameless recolor back in the day? It's a rare sight, I tell ya! Oh, and in Trick Track Track there's a warp arrow if you roll off here. And that basically wraps up everything. But also not really. While yes, these are all in-game warps, that doesn't really exclude all the unintentional ones. For an instance, check this shit out. That's right, this person just went straight from Orangutan Gang to mimic Mincers when going through a bonus door. Sure as hell can't do that in the game normally. These are called wrong warps. They're common practice in the speedrunner community, even outside DKC. In a sense, they allow the player to appear in a different area they otherwise aren't supposed to be in yet when certain actions are put in that in a way break the game's code, usually with some frame-perfect cheats that wouldn't be possible to do on the first try. The trick I just showed you is in itself pretty complex to pull off, so I'll be going through some of the steps. And also, by the way, this doesn't work on any of the newer versions of the game, which is why I didn't record footage for any of this, for I think I'm playing in an updated ROM. First, you'll need to finish Jungle Hijinks. Doesn't matter how you do it as long as you don't obtain another Kong at any point. Then go back into the level, pick up a DK barrel, throw, then pause mid-throw and select back into the world map. This causes the death animation and sound jingle to be completely gone. And when dying to a bottomless pit it makes no difference, dying to a normal enemy and or hazard extends the freeze frame still for the hit stun and softlocks your game. This on its own already reworks the code, so not to combine this with another wrong warp. The overworld has 3 individual marks where when the characters are on their own they will stop for about a millisecond. If you pressed Y, A, and X at any of these moments, it will teleport you to a section from a further level. With the first one being the middle section of Orangutan Gang, the second being just Ropey Rampage again, and the third being the ending section of Orangutan Gang. For why these warps happen, well, it doesn't explicitly say anywhere. I have a theory that these might have been the original placements of these levels, with, you know, the whole jungle theme and all. The overworld solely also seems to debunk this at the same time, so I don't know, maybe it could have just been a last minute sketch over or I'm just going insane, if not already. But let's take our glitch into the first mark and try our best not to get hit. Take a metal barrel, place it on this platform, grab Espresso, put him next to the barrel, jump off this claptrap and you'll be holding the barrel while riding the mount. After this then you'll need to run to the bottom right path to where the bonus room is. A foot away from it you'll need to let go of Y and head straight in. And just point out, doing this incorrectly will warp you to one of these places instead. Once in you have to reveal a DK barrel, throw it to the left while going out of the room at the same time and successfully have access to the warp. This and others are the only wrong warps that are acknowledged in DKC 1 to my knowing. DKC 2 on the other hand is absolutely filled with these things, though they're a lot more boring there, as with most of them you'll just need to be holding something and throwing it to a boundary breaking area. And DKC 3 doesn't even have a single wrong warp, let alone a major bug, which makes speedruns of it pretty amusing to watch because they're just normal ass runs of the levels. As for basic warps, both games just do the same thing and hide them in the first 2 worlds, something I'm not too big of a fan of, most importantly in DKC 3 since the game often likes to slow down to a crawl. And also, if I'm being honest, I might just be one of those odd people who actually prefers DKC 1 rather than 2. And I really hate saying that because objectively it's the better game. Shinier graphics, awesome music, a balanced character roster, unique levels, but also cutscenes and bosses, abundance of level gimmicks, forced in changes to the gameplay, more options in the side rooms, a varying Winnie cinematic. It doesn't sound like big problems, but it just makes the game drag on, and with the added difficulty, it at some points just makes me not want to play it anymore. I just come back to DKC 1 knowing that, oh yes, this is a fun time waster, I can beat this within an hour. And that's probably because the game is designed that way, because if you look on the cutting room floor, you can see an unused sprite of Cranky walking. Because originally, if you beat the game of 1 life in a single hour, you'd unlock a Cranky Com mode that made you play as Cranky and ironically made things more slow and tedious to piss people off. I love this and wish it made it to the final cut, but the least we get for now is a throwaway line in the credits with Cranky saying how he's better than you and that you suck. But the premise stands that the game is meant to be sped through, and while DKC 2 doesn't remove that aspect, it still lacks it in most situations, and I just don't oftentimes replay it anymore. Before you go fucking ham, this is in no way a bash on the second game. I respectively love each and one of these games to their core. It's just that I noticed that as time passed and things got more complex, they also became less interesting. It's what Rare always does to their games, have a brilliant starting point that stands out on being a fun experience, Then they just do that again, but make it bigger and grander, but without its ground or soul. And then years later, it just turns into mindless, mediocre garbage that's just a cry of what it originally was. Best they could do right now is just release a remake, but they don't even want to do that because it would go against their IP apparently. Even though they've literally released remakes in the past that aside from the weird graphical overhauls are still very solid. Then they go make the whole Blizzard excuse saying that, oh, you think you want it, but you don't. Kiss my fucking ass, Rare. This is one of the only moments here where I'm actually genuinely pissed off about this. You can't just be Epic Games now and make the rest of your buck through Sea of Thieves, a game that literally nobody plays anymore. Did they even make anything besides Sea of Thieves for the past decade? Oh yeah, Battletoads. God, honestly, I wholly forgot that game even came out last year. I didn't even know that Rare was fucking making it. Did Rare make Battletoads? What the fuck? But alright, I'll cut the crap. I know you're not here about me complaining about a company's current depressive state. You wanna see some real secrets. Shit that almost nobody even knows about. And in that case, I've got you covered, so here's a little trivia. Hate that stupid fucking bird in the third Bramble level? Just damage boost over him and deactivates the whole race. And hell, you don't even have to damage boost, you can just stand right next to him and subtly fly over. What about the honey and the bee levels? That's quite annoying, right? Well, you can just walk on the honey by holding your teammate, almost like how you don't stick when riding Animal Buddy. Did you know you can kill Cruncher by throwing your partner at him? Did you know that when riding Squawks you can just chill on the bottom brambles? Look at that, you can just skip Squawk's Animal Antics section by maneuvering over it with Squitter. Doesn't make it any less harder, but nice dreadful change of pace, I guess. Did you know that in Rattle Battle you can backtrack, go into a bonus room and unintentionally get Rattly in there? And more than that, did you know that Clobbers are absolutely fucking broken? Have you ever noticed that in Rickety Race there's a boost pad at the back of the level? I mean, come on, that's just basic knowledge at this point. What are you, some kind of moronic imbecile? How about the other animal buddies you can take with you to the end, like Rambi and Barrel Bio by going through another bonus room, or On Guard over here by just damage boosting. You can even do the whole funny Kong running another Kong glitch with the both of them. And I'm only scratching the fucking surface. All of this is from DKC2. There's plenty of other ones in the other games. Did you know if you hand slap Crusher he gives you a banana? Did you know that through road jumping, killing Kitty, and gliding as Dixie you can skip the sled section and tear away Toboggan? Did you know you can kill the coin dozer with a metal barrel or just any kind of rolling barrel by going in and off screen? What, you think you can just go back to playing the game normally after you hear that? Give me a fucking break. Not gonna mention the whole infinite lives trick, cause everybody already knows that. But did you even have the slightest idea that in Minecart Carnage during the midpoint of the level, if you hold Y and jump after you die, you'll be able to cartwheel endlessly around the level with no repercussions? Why do this? Beats me, but it's cool, right? I'm sure I'm not the only one who thinks this is the best thing on the planet. I mean, it's either that or I'm just really fucking lonely. And anticlimatically, that's kinda it. Now I'm wondering how I can end this video. Oh shit, yeah, I know. According to my analytics, 70% of you aren't actually subscribed.